Welcome back. Thank you for all the support and love. This is the voiceover of my apple crate. This is me measuring out everything, just getting set up, and just tying it to the music that I had edited it to. I have a music version in my Patreon and in my link tree. In the beginning, you saw that my name flew in too. That was me just kind of getting crafty with the edits. So this is my DeWalt miter saw. It is on a stand. It's nice because I can roll it in and out whenever I need to. I've got a 96 tooth blade on it, I believe. Works really good. It leaves a clean line. Everything looks good. And this is the joiner that I just fixed back up. It was pretty rusted out. I went through and stoned it, and it's cutting great. I put brand new blades on it for this project. The idea behind this project was I wanted to just take regular lumber and turn it into something usable and affordable, being that the economy's in a pretty hard state right now. I wanted to just do a simple little build. That's a throwback to the Bandsaw Cowboy I Love You that I cut. And same thing with the planer. I put brand new blades on it. Was leaving lines. Figuring out the angles on these machines is somewhat of a learning process, but I think I'm doing all right. I try not to give too many security angles like this one, like a security camera, but it turns out pretty good, I think. Like I said, there was music that I aligned to. So what I'm doing right here now is I'm just milling up the lumber. Put one side on the joiner. I should have started with the planer and then went to the joiner, but everything ended up pretty flat. I wasn't too picky with it, so I think next time I would start with the planer. That way I get a flat edge. That way I'm able to butt it up against the joiner side, which will give me a flat reference to 90 degrees, and then I'm able to square that up. Then I can take it to the table saw and get the second edge flat, and then bring it to the planer. But this is a long process of just milling the lumber. And here I'm using the Ken Burns effect, and I cut it down because it was just so much. The music version I left it long, but in this version I had to bring it back down. And this is so I could fly in some titles. The delay here was so that way titles to the music could fly in. It was a nice little paste thing that I could leave in. I cut 45-degree angle braces for the nail gun to go into from the outside to the in. And I believe I'm taking my final passes on the planer just to make sure everything's equal width, and just to take care of any table saw lines. There's a few that I didn't mess with too much. I like things a little bit rusticy looking, so speed square trick just to level things out. Something I do every once in a while. And me just taking it down slow so you can see it. But yeah, I'm still working on the setup of my shop, but that whole table back there right here that I'm working on now is brand new setup. If you watch me on Instagram, you'll see that I just built that not too long ago. All the material I used stacked out. And this is a very weak drill press, but still very effective for what I needed to do. I got this from my grandpa. He left it to me, and it's doing pretty good. I left zero clearance on the bottom. That way when I go through it doesn't have tear out. And then basically I take it over to my router, and I've made a router jig thanks to Ryan, my good buddy at R3 Unlimited on Instagram. And here's the jig that I have. I screw it down just to hold it in place, and I use a flush trim router bit with a bearing on the end to transfer a clean line to the pieces that you see there. And I just use a clamping system to get it all set up. Nothing too big of a deal, just some quick clamps. And I kind of sped up through this to give it some validity, just so that way you saw what happened. And there's me cutting the 45-degree angles to the height of the box that I'm going to end up making. Took into account that I wanted a couple gaps. That's what the little square pieces are for, just to separate everything. Clamp it together. And I probably could have sped up here, but I figured it was good pacing. The video was kind of short for what it was. I think it's only like a 10-minute video. 10 minutes and 9 seconds. So there's the nail gun. You're going to see when I flip to the next scene, I had a little mistake that happened. The nail right down there, I skipped over it. What I did was I hit either a knot or I had a low battery. I think my low battery caused it to not sync right. So I had to take that out, but that wasn't a big deal. It's on the inside. Nobody can see it. Here I am just using this nail gun. This is the 18 gauge pin nailer. Brad nailer. I love it. It's really good gun. Other than if the battery gets low. If the battery gets low on anything, it's not gonna sink a nail or drive a pin accurately. Using Type Bond 1. The nice thing about Type Bond 1 is it comes out of your clothes really nicely when you wash them. Type Bond 2 is more effective. It still has some elasticity. Type Bond 2 will not crack under the sun. Type Bond 3 is waterproof. It has a hard candy shell that will crack if you expose it to different temperatures. I learned that from Alex Snodgrass when I took a class with him. And I'm just using the spacer still to transfer the gapping. Like I said, I wasn't too picky. This box was ultimately to hold my camera gear and just stuff like that I could bring out to the shop all in one trip. I wanted to just go through the experience. So what the main goal was to cut that little pocket. That was what I wanted to get used to doing, was experience that. And I think I did really well. I had went through a couple different tries of how I was going to do it, and the router jig seemed to be the best approach. And I'm putting up the final boards, and I had to get a little bit of a wider board in there. I had some pieces that I pre-cut for the project. That was one of them I had sitting to the side. That was perfect. And I put the hole in the bottom. The knot fell out, but I don't care. It's nothing loose that I'm going to be putting in this box. Everything that's going into it's going to be pretty bulky and nothing's going to fall through. I think it gives it character. I have these little sanding blocks with all these different grits sitting on them. I just swap them out as I need them. And the final nails, I ran down the other side. That way everything is just nice and secure. Nothing will move. And here's a fun fact. When you speed up a video, sometimes it cuts the audio of the pin being slammed into the board itself. My branding iron. I only break this out every once in a while because it can be kind of a finicky thing to perform, but I did all right. I like to come in and do a little bit of fine sanding sometimes and clean it back up. It ends up working out pretty good. Here's the final display. Show the inside. You can see that little hole in the bottom right, but it's not really a big deal. And I give it a little bit of a kitty corner angle to show off the lines of the box. All right. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Love and respect.